Hello everyone, it's me, Ben. Pardon me. So, yeah, like the video says, this is my recreation of a 17th or 18th century fishing kit. Before modern fishing poles, before modern equipment, people would have carried something like this with them. Now, it's not 100% accurate. There are exceptions I made due to my ability for resources or my ability to recreate it or find it, unfortunately. Now, I will show you and tell you the exceptions I made. Exception 1 would be the 10. This is an old 10 for soap. It's a soap 10 for some old 1970s soap. Now the first thing we're going to pull out is the main line. Now you may be wondering, hey, why is it colored? Why is it dyed? Well, in a famous book called Fishing with an Angle by Jules Barons, I think 13th century nun, talks about having dyed cords to disguise them or hide them in the water of a pond, a lake, or whatnot, which is a very interesting concept that has been more popular in recent years. Within the last decade or so, we've only been doing it. Last 2 decades, we've been doing it. But back then, it was actually thought of and quite common. So these are the main lines. These are linen lines that I've waxed with raw beeswax. These are I've used this one recently to make a fishing video that has just been posted. And then I got the fishing leaders here. Now fishing leaders typically would have been made of silk or horsehair. This is made from double braided cotton. There's another exception there. Teeny tiny fish hook. Modern fish hook, but I do have on this side a small gouge hook. Now I do have some pin hooks and some shellfish hooks in the 10 I'll be showing. I'll also carry a couple things of beeswax, these tiny little things of beeswax, so I can wax the line when I need to. And I have these pin hooks. These hooks are made of simple pins that you use in sewing. There is evidence for that, especially within the 1700s when they had the refined technology to create such things. And there would be books on how to make them and how to use them. You can see it up close here. It's a bent J hook, teeny tiny little thing. It has no barb. Here's another one I made. Teeny tiny thing. And another modern style hook. Those are the 3 metal hooks. Also, they were stuffed in a little piece of beeswax as well. Grab another piece of beeswax. We're going to put those in the tin here so I don't lose them. Now, historically, cotton was available around the 1800s. They much would have preferred things like for fly fishing, I think it was silk, and for coarse fishing, it would have been something like horsehair and thicker linen. But so linen is historically accurate, but they would have preferred something like horsehair, braided horsehair. Then I got a few little shell fishing hooks made from shell. I made these using files, little hand files. They would have used those as well, but they would have also used what the Native Americans used, which was, if I remember correctly, a little fake lure worm. They would have used the rocks and minerals to help do so. Here's another hook, shell hook. Teeny tiny little thing. Now these aren't made to pierce the lips of the fish, but rather to hook onto the hardened section of their lips and keep them settled there. As well, I have 2 lead weights here. Historically, they would have taken sheets of lead, pounded them flat, squared, put a little dent in them, or they would have used ammo like buckshot or rifle balls, musket balls, use their knives to cut a hole in them, or cut a slit in them and put the line through and pinch it. But this is mostly historical with the exceptions of the 2 modern hooks and the 10. And this is pretty much historically accurate for the 17 and 1800s, going as far back as I want to say the 15 or 1400s. It's pretty accurate to that. They would have used little blocks of wood like this to wrap their wax line in. This is free. This is free corded. It isn't quite on a block of wood because I couldn't fit it in the tin. But you know, this is pretty accurate, with the exception of the tin and the hooks. Now, during the 1300s, the 1400s, they did have metal hooks, but because the technology was not as sophisticated as today, the hooks wouldn't have been as small or as durable as a lot of modern hooks, or those little pin hooks I have, similar to that of this 18 or 1700s. So they would have used a lot larger raw iron or hard iron hooks. They wouldn't have used steel. There was also other hooks they could have used made from rose thorns, bush thorns, hooks made of bone and shell like that. They could have used, especially along these shorelines. Now, shell hooks are one of the only hooks that have been used by all cultures that have a oceanic harbor or oceanic territory, because the peoples there, they know they use what they can get, and a lot of times they can't afford the iron or the steel, so they would use bone, wood, and shell. And shell was used, especially in Hawaii. They used very well made bone and shell hooks that didn't cut and hook into the lips, but rather got locked in the jaw of the fish, like tuna, mahi-mahi, bonita, and all those other fish. They catch them. And they also had giant hooks made out of wood and bone to catch sharks, like tiger shark, great white, and so on, and they'd catch it on the hand line. Now, this setup here can definitely be used as a hand line to catch larger fish. The only problem is linen is not that strong. This isn't going to catch anything massive, like a 50-pound or 100-pound catfish. This is more suited towards things like white bass, shad, herring, trout, panfish. You might catch a little 10 or 15-pound blue cat on it, but it's not going to be this massive fish. If you want to catch bigger fish, you'll be using line made of braided horsehair, especially a horsehair made from the tail and not the mane, because the tail had longer sections they could use, which worked very well. And then you had linen. Well, I already talked about linen. This is linen, so on. They probably make thicker binds of linen. They also use hemp. And other than hemp, they'd also use things such as silk. And then in the Americas, when cotton was becoming a huge thing, they could also use cotton. Now, cotton itself, while it is a good material, it rots very easily. It needs to be waxed and coated very well, both before and after fishing. And depending on the thickness of the thread, can do damn near anything, almost, except for larger fish and saltwater fish, which is where you'd use the thicker, stronger materials such as hemp and horsehair. Now, George Washington's fishing kit, he had hand-forged fish hooks with a spade shank to tie on, and very thin linen or silk leaders in his fishing kit, and they would be on a large square block and tackle that he'd use, and they were very well. Now, little fishing kits like this wasn't really for the common man. They were more or less used for your aristocrats, people with a little bit more money who could afford everything, who could afford the extra stuff to get everything. Your common man was going to be using native materials to make rope, to make nets. Some men, especially in France, where they had sculling oar sailors, would use the hand lines to catch fish. I think a cat just knocked something down. But anyway, so this, especially in the early days, would have been used by a more experienced or a more wealthy individual rather than your common man. The common man would be using things such as nets, and spears, things of that nature. But it is a very nice little kit. I love it. It's small enough I can fit it in my pocket. I can put it in my backpack while I go on a walk or run. I can catch anything with it, and you can almost fly fish with this. That's how good it is to me. But a little kit like this, I got, I think, 50, 60 feet of linen in each spool here, with about 3 feet of cotton leader, which is very good. And if you use a 9 to 10 foot pole, you can cast that out pretty dang far, especially if you have a little practice or luck. It would do fantastic for what it's worth. And I did catch a fish on this in the previous video. You should see it. I can't remember if I took a picture or not, but I'll put pictures at the end of the video for you to see. I hope you enjoyed this video. Hope you enjoyed the information that came with it. I hope you get inspired to make your own little fishing kit, because these are an awesome little kit to practice with, to have fun with, to teach with and use. And I would highly recommend learning how to make these kits or buying these kits for shit hit the fan, preppers, doomsday preppers, and so on, because it is a very good kit. Thank you for watching. Hope you liked the video. Please like, comment, subscribe for more, or just say hey. Have a good one, y'all.